I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to. And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be sir. Do you maggots understand that?
Hey, hello, and welcome to my channel. And as you can see from the title, today we're talking about Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick's Vietnam War movie from 1987. And yes, we are going to take a look at that infamous opening segment with the drill sergeant, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, played so memorably by R. Lee Ermey. But it's not just that this is such a striking segment of the movie. I feel that there is actually a lot to uncover in this scene, and I found a few details that I think you'll find interesting. So let's get started. Now, when we meet our new recruits at boot camp, we see their drill instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, absolutely berating them, telling them they are the lowest form of life on Earth. And he says, quote, "If you survive recruit training, you will be a weapon. You will be a minister of death, praying for war." And whilst I know some people will say the military wants to break down their young recruits so they can build them back up, I have to say it feels more like they are being desensitized or being made to feel accustomed to conditions where there is no kind word or comfort. After that, he renames them with nicknames like Snowball and Joker, and he even gets a bit violent with Joker, punching him in the stomach. It seems a bit dehumanizing. We then see many scenes of the training, also called PT, which includes marching and drills, and apparently this rifle training. This is where we notice one recruit who seems to lag behind and just keeps making mistakes, and that is Private Pyle, aka Leonard. And when he makes a mistake in the drill, again, we see Sergeant Hartman slap him repeatedly. This sergeant is a violent guy. We then get a truly surreal scene in which the sergeant tells them that they will actually be sleeping with their rifles. And when they are laying down, they actually have to say a prayer to their rifle in which they say it is their best friend. I feel the need to say here that it feels like their original personalities have been a bit replaced by this system. It's like this boot camp wants to control what they actually feel or how they respond. Then we get to the obstacle course. And although we do see other recruits having a tough time here, it's once again Leonard that actually can't get over one of the obstacles and falls. The other recruits know he's struggling, and Leonard is not able to do even one pull up. And when he's unable to get up and over the obstacle course, Sergeant Hartman screams curses at him to get off. Leonard really needs extra help, and Joker does try. He shows Leonard how to clean his rifle and also how to lace his boots correctly, a bit like a surrogate parent or father figure, or at least a friend. Unfortunately, when Leonard gets caught with a jelly donut he isn't supposed to have, a collective punishment is given out to the whole platoon, and they want to get payback on him, and they do, as the whole platoon takes turns hitting Leonard. Even Joker does it, although he seems like an intelligent and thoughtful person. Again, I feel some dehumanization has taken place. But then we see an apparent change come over Leonard as Sergeant Hartman discovers that he is actually good at shooting, and Joker discovers that Leonard is actually talking to his gun now. Is he starting to disassociate from reality? Perhaps. It's also interesting that the only time the sergeant says anything remotely positive to Leonard It's when he does well shooting his rifle at the range. And amazingly, Leonard is able to give Sergeant Hartman all of the correct answers during a drill. This is where the sergeant tells Leonard that, quote, "You are definitely born again hard." Perhaps that's what Sergeant Hartman would like to see happen to all of his recruits, to erase away the person they were on day one, and after training, have them be born again hard. A few days before graduation, Joker tells us that the Marine Corps wants to build indestructible men, men without fear. Then, on the last night before the guys are shipped out, Joker is on night watch, and when he gets inside the bathroom that they call the head, he finds Leonard alone, loading his magazine, looking crazy, with his rifle next to him. Joker asks him if those are live rounds, and Leonard responds, "Full metal jacket." He is clearly unhinged, and obviously Leonard's mind and easygoing personality seem to be completely broken and fractured. Of course, Sergeant Hartman wakes up with the noise, and in a final psychotic outburst, Leonard ends up shooting both Sergeant Hartman and himself. Though Joker does try to calm things down, it's a tragic ending for Leonard. Now, I'd like to suggest that one of the themes I see in the boot camp sequence is something known as a total institution. And this concept comes from the book Asylums from 1961 by sociologist Irving Goffman, which focuses on the relationship an inmate might have to an institution. In other words, a place like an asylum, or as I'm suggesting, a military boot camp. Now, a total institution is characterized by an enclosed and regimented daily routine, also separation from the outside world, limited or no privacy, shared activities like working or sleeping at the same time, and an authority that is in charge of the rules and procedures. And that would definitely be our drill sergeant. But pretty much all of these characteristics can be seen in the boot camp. And remember, we also saw our recruits all get the same haircut before they entered here. Again, sort of taking away someone's individuality a bit. In fact, that puts me in mind of a famous experiment, also from 1961, called the Milgram Experiment from Yale University by psychologist Stanley Milgram. He was trying to measure the willingness of the participants to obey an authority figure, even if it went against their personal beliefs. It involved participants giving an electric shock to someone who got an answer wrong, which got more and more strong. And Milgram found out, unexpectedly, that a very large percentage of people would keep giving the shocks. In other words, they would just follow whatever the authority figure said. I think this could be related to what's happening inside a total institution, too, since everyone is supposed to obey the sergeant, regardless of how they feel about it. So, who exactly is Gunnery Sergeant Hartman? Well, of course, he's the boot camp instructor for our recruits. But I think for Stanley Kubrick, this sergeant might represent the archetypal figure of authority, or even repression. Stanley Kubrick was famously anti war, and he made several anti war films, including Full Metal Jacket. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that the sergeant is supposed to be symbolic of the harsh and violent authority figures that start or perpetuate wars. And I also feel the concepts of the total institution, which strips away individuality in a controlling environment, and the ideas about obeying authority from the Milgram Experiment are also present in this film. Stanley Kubrick was a brilliant man, and I'm quite certain he would have been aware of a famous incident like the Milgram Experiment, and probably the ideas of Irving Goffman too. So, in a way, our Sargeant is a slightly mythical character, but more in a modern psychological or sociological sense, forever in our memories, barking orders at his troops, but also a true believer. Well, that's my new video about the Sargeant from Full Metal Jacket. I hope you liked it. I actually won't be in town next week, but I definitely will have a new video up the week after that. Also, I am uploading this a few days before Memorial Day here in the US, so I thought it would be a good time to do a Full Metal Jacket video. Also, let me thank my awesome comment section. I always enjoy reading those comments, so thank you. And it would help my channel if you did hit that subscribe button. But either way, my name is Shim. Thank you for spending time with me, and have a great day.
God was here before the Marine Corps, so you can give your heart to Jesus, but your ass belongs to the Corps.